Not tonight, I couldn't.
I forgot to bring mine, but see, they got something there.
Jim, Andrew, you ready?
Yes.
Taneytown Planning Commission, please come to order. Please stand for the pledge of the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start out with the consent of the commission here. I'd like to amend the agenda for tonight. You notice on the back, there's an addition to the regular agenda. Any issues? All right.
Fine. Yep.
Andrew, would you like to make a comment about the letter that was mailed out?
Yes, Mr. Chair. If anybody today is here about the letter that was mailed out about a month and a half ago from the city about the growth area, the Planning and Zoning Commission is having meetings on the comprehensive plan, the 2025 update to the Taneytown Comprehensive Plan. Those meetings are separate from the meeting, the regularly scheduled Planning Commission as what is happening today. So if you are interested in the comp plan meeting from that letter that talked about the growth area and annexation, that is not today's meeting. And if I'm trying to remember, sorry, off the top of my head, the next meeting.
December 16th at 6:30.
December 16th at 6:30. Thank you. Thank you. But that's when that meeting will be held to cover the comprehensive plan.
But you're welcome to set in on a regular Taneytown Planning Commission meeting. Feel free to set in if you feel you desire. All right. Commission members should have received the draft minutes of October 27, 2025. Is there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
I'm good.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. A bill for approval.
Second.
Second by Dan. Further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Carried. Thank you, guys. First item on the agenda, delegation action items. Request for preliminary site plan approval for Garnet Ridge. Andrew, would you start us out with that, please? Lead us into that, or Jim? Representatives, please come forward.
I can. Okay, since Andrew's kind of come in towards the tail end of this, you guys have seen this off and on for, gosh, probably a couple of years now. Andrew has checked the file and reached out with the county and confirmed that all the appropriate agency review approvals have been received. There are some outstanding comments from CDM Smith with regard to the sewer pumping station and force main. So those have yet to be resolved, but that is a separate plan set from the actual subdivision drawings. So tonight, the request will be to grant preliminary plan approval contingent on the pumping station comments being satisfied, which of course would happen before final approval.
Okay, and representative here?
Yeah, Aaron Valentine, CLSI.
Okay. So where are we at with this?
Like Kelly mentioned, we've addressed all the comments and resubmitted, and we're looking for preliminary approval. Any updates based on your latest comments, your last round of comments, and we're looking for approval.
Last drawings, were they the ones for April 2024?
That sounds
That
about right.
wasn't a full set there, was it?
No, I think the last full set was back in '23.
May 23.
Hasn't been any changes to the,
Nothing that changes the overall lookout or anything outlook of the plan, rather, or the, no substantive changes.
How wide's your road from curb to curb?
From curb to curb?
Yes.
It's 26-foot of roadway plus the standard rolled curb.
26 foot?
Standard rolled curb either
What
side.
happened to the other 8 inches we required? We required 26.8.
Right, so it's 26 feet of paving, and then to the outside of the curb would be an extra 8 inches either side.
We required 26.8 inches from curb to curb. And you're telling me it's only 26?
I can look into that.
Well, you don't have to,
Well-
or pass it.
Yeah, I think that was the request that we had, was for a minimum of 28 foot of roadway. And I think when I looked at the maps, you included the curb,
Yes.
but I don't normally drive on the curb, so I don't really include that as, so I'm expecting 28 feet of blacktop.
Okay, I'll look into that, yep.
Other comments?
What's your driveway setback from the sidewalk? I can't see it. I don't have any of that.
I am not sure off the top of my head, but we can look
So-
into that.
So, sir, one of the other issues that we had was the area between the garage and the road was really not the same width as a normal parking spot, not a 20-foot, so it was
Okay,
15 or 16 or something like that. So, and then I guess we're considering parking, you have to have so many parking spots, as you know.
Sure,
And so
yes.
in the garage, if you put steps, the garage was so small that if you put steps in there to go into the house or anything like that, you don't have enough space for it. So I question whether there's enough room to even put a car inside there.
Okay.
And then in front of it, it was too short for a large car. Yeah, a mini car can get in there. So we were just concerned with that, whether that was really adequate parking
Understood.
in that area.
Okay, I can look into that.
Because we were concerned about the, coming across the sidewalk.
Sidewalk, yeah, right.
Taken out too far, okay.
Yeah, if you just walk through town, you'll see cars parked across the sidewalk all the time anyway, which then you can't walk on the sidewalk, which is put there so you can be safe.
Understood,
So,
okay,
Affects ADA too.
right, okay.
So can we get those addressed before we give a preliminary approval?
I can at least give you answers, yes, we'll address those and provide the answers, yes.
Wishes of the commission?
Yes.
Okay,
All right,
make those updates.
all right, and we'll see you next month, or whenever you have any answers.
And could we all have drawings to look at before the meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll give you new drawings before the meeting, yes.
okay, that'd be nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is request for concept site plan, approval of 520 East Balmer Street, McDonald's. You can lead us on that again, and then we'll have a representative. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just moving on from last month, it was mentioned since your meeting last month that reaching out to McDonald's to see if there was any other information that they would like to provide. McDonald's mentioned right now they have no additional documents to share. Ahead of the upcoming Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, McDonald's does plan to attend this meeting for concept site plan approval consideration. So city planning staff recommends the Planning Commission take into consideration the October 23rd, 2025 city site plan report, all public comment, and consider concept site plan approval. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Lead off anything, statements?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Johnny Lisco. I'm with Bowler Engineering. I'm here with Lisa Hurstmark, Bowler Engineering as well, Adam Baker, RMG, and Joe Collegero in the back with the traffic group. So we are here again seeking concept site approval for the McDonald's site, as mentioned, as Andrew mentioned, Mr. Gray. And so we presented the concept back at the September 29th commission meeting. Then we had the updated plan at the October 27th, incorporating the comments from the planning commission, just removing the mobile order parking spaces. As mentioned, the parking signage variance approved at the board hearing on October 22nd, and then the staff report dated October 4th was discussed somewhat at the last planning commission meeting. Items like lot coverage, building height, building elevation, strip generating comments were addressed and discussed, and we are here, respectfully requesting concept site plan approval at this planning commission meeting.
Comments from the commission?
Yes, I believe they're going to bring back an update on how many employees you're going to have at the new site. I was told you're going to give us a number on that.
We do not have a number to provide. We discussed this with McDonald's, and they let us know that the number can fluctuate based on market conditions, based on customers, based on just general employees coming and going, so they do not have a definite number to provide at this time.
I'm not surprised, that's fine.
The Board of Appeals gave you approval for your parking request. Forward with that. Does anybody have any comments from the floor in reference to McDonald's? And I'll entertain a recommendation from the commission.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve because I don't like how it's all gone. I don't like how we were told at the beginning that we were going to, that in the traffic report talking about the shopping center and having that as overflow, and then suddenly that disappeared when it went to BZA. But the BZA approval has happened, whether we like it or not. And at this point, we don't really have a leg to stand on to keep it from going. So I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the preliminary or concept.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll second the motion. Other discussion?
So just to be clear, the biggest concern was that there is a number of parking spots that are provided, but if you count any of the employees, then we don't think there's enough parking spots. So that's why we were asking to make contact with the neighbor, because everybody parks over there anyway, and just have an agreement. So I thought it was a pretty reasonable request to see, just to get permission to park on your neighbor's parking lot. So it just seemed pretty reasonable to me.
Same here. On a number of occasions, I've been out there, and there's been anywhere from 8 to a dozen customers from McDonald's parking at the shopping center's parking lot,
All seen it.
which I'm sure when the drones was for the traffic study used, the shopping center wasn't looked at.
Yeah. I do think that the community wants McDonald's here. I don't think there's any question about that.
So if you're backed up on parking,
Understood.
any other discussion?
The reason I'm against it, because in my opinion, I don't think McDonald's came here with clean hands with the Board of Appeals. I think they misled them. So because of that, I'm totally against it.
May I just would like to remind that the McDonald's is existing right now. This is an active business that is serving the city. The proposed development that we're here asking for is for permission to renovate, redo the McDonald's, make the drive-through more efficient to get customers in and out of the site more quickly. The trends in McDonald's is that fewer people are parking and coming inside, and more people are coming through the drive-through. So we are here asking permission to make the drive-through better serve those customers. So I do just want to remind that the McDonald's is here already, and will continue to be here, and will continue to be a business in the city of Taneytown.
It's here already, but it's using all of the things that we've talked about that have been disregarded for most of this. So that's what's actually happening does not match the plan of what's going to go on, and the plan for what is going on. So that's where the problems are coming in.
Putting aside our personal opinions of here, according to what's required. In favor of the motion for approval of concept plan for McDonald's at 520 East Balmer Street, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Yes. Nay, whatever you want.
It's carried. Thank you.
Now, what's the next one? Taco Bell. I'll open this up.
Next item on the agenda, request for concept site plan for 529 East Balmer Street, Taco Bell. If you would, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Taco Bell, since your last meeting, has provided reconfiguration of it will be right and left in and a left out only design for your review. Right now, city planning staff recommends the Planning Commission take into consideration the October 23rd, 2025 city site plan report, all public comment, and consider concept site plan approval. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative from Taco Bell would like to make any statements?
Just to sort of reiterate what Mr. Gray had mentioned, we are, so we presented this redlined site plan. We heard the community's concerns. We talked to our client with Taco Bell, and we have reconfigured the drive aisle to prevent right outs to go north onto Amicus. We understand that the community's concerns are that they don't want this to be a cut through, and they don't want traffic to be going north through their development. In conversations with Taco Bell since the last planning commission, they want to be a good neighbor. And so in an event in the attempt to compromise to be a good neighbor and help with the community, but while maintaining the access point, this was the revision that has been redlined here. And we did also speak with the fire marshal, who says that they prefer to have the second access. So just it helps with their circulation as well. And so here we also see additional signage that will be put on the plan, so both on site as well as in the Amicus Street right-of-way, to help mitigate any traffic concerns kind of around the Break Iron Bend, and to really let patrons of the Taco Bell and then the Lot 2 site know that a right out of the site is prohibited.
So we're still considering, or you're still considering in and an out on the back?
Yes, so if people can come, if say someone wants to, from the Creekside development wants to go to Taco Bell, they can travel down north on Amicus, turn into the site, make a left, or say someone goes to Food Lion, wants to make a quick pit stop at Taco Bell on their way home, they can turn right into the site. It's just right outs are prohibited. So you can come in from any direction, which I believe was not the community's concerns of how to get to the Taco Bell. It was people leaving the Taco Bell or using it as a cut through. So that was our way to compromise that.
I'm concerned about the radius coming out, to make that left turn. I traveled over to, what is that, White Birch, where you come into White Birch. You can only go in one way,
Off of East Baltimore, off.
East Balmer Street.
Right.
If you had something like that, I think that would eliminate a lot of possibilities of people making a right turn coming out of Taco Bell.
Is there a specific example? Sorry.
Well, I took a picture.
To say, yeah, I didn't follow it either, so I'm,
Sorry.
Well, if you go into White Birch off East Balmer Street,
that's Deverne.
Deverne Street,
Yeah.
White
going
Birch
into White Birch.
Estates.
Oh, okay.
It gives you a wide radius. Would eliminate anybody making a right turn coming out.
Well, but I understand where you're coming from, but do we want to funnel traffic only one direction at that point? Do we not want to allow, we don't want to allow people coming from Creekside to turn into Taco Bell?
Yeah, so the radius was done, and the angling was done so that it would still allow people to come in.
And that's my concern. The
Okay.
radius, it's too open
Right beside my
for
house.
people to come in.
Well, it's because they were allowing, they wanted to have.
You wanted people to come
They wanted
in,
people
but I thought the issue last month that you wanted to restrict the flow of traffic.
Well, I think the traffic engineer made that recommendation, or
Yeah.
they said we would look at it.
Yeah, so, and
that's a
just
good
trying
shot
to
right
listen
there.
to the community's concerns, I don't think the community is afraid of people going to the Taco Bell, it's people going north. So we were trying to not restrict people from coming into the site. This just make sure that they can only exit onto East Baltimore as opposed to going back through the community or making a
Yeah, but they can't.
left
cut
out of
through
the
here.
site
Even
to go towards the
the
Food Lion.
people concerned about it.
Also, if you make it like Deverne, then you're going to end up with, you're not going to be able to have efficient out. You want both an in and out there. So you don't have an efficient out at that point to get onto the road. It's not, it ends up not being a straight
Can't
You're
come
right.
out.
That's
You
right, that's
can't
what he
come out.
wants.
You can't come out.
So you don't want anybody to get into the back end of Taco Bell?
Right, that's what I was looking at, to release.
Unless you're coming.
Okay,
well.
I disagree, but
But that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
giving my opinion on it, and that's why we're here. So
yeah.
if you're satisfied with what they're showing here, it is an improvement.
It's a lot more safer, the way they're showing it.
And we did consult with the traffic engineer as well as part of this.
There's still potential traffic coming through Creekside.
Yes.
Yes.
How? I mean, only to get to at that point.
Only if people are illegally making
Yeah.
a right.
That's what I'm trying to eliminate.
Yeah,
Understand.
Well-
but the main concern seemed to be people making the cut through
Cut through from 140.
140,
through-
and this
I get it.
takes that
And then
out.
going up into Creek.
Yeah.
That way. I
This
get it.
also gets rid of anybody else coming to the store, coming to the restaurant and going up through Creekside as well.
And with this radius, it also, I know one of the concerns from the community at the last two planning commissions was truck traffic through there. And with this radius, we did truck movements. It's not feasible for a truck to make a right-hand turn and to go up north on the Creekside development. It's not feasible for the delivery trucks, for fire access, for trash trucks. So if they were to exit back on Amicus, they would have no choice but to make a left-hand out and then go back to East Baltimore. So it would eliminate that truck traffic as the option of a truck traffic through there.
They have put a stop sign at CVS now, which is making things safer. I mean, everyone's working with everyone.
Comment?
Sure. I got a few things. So one, I think the town will benefit by having a Taco Bell here. I think that's a good thing. I understand the traffic going through, and so the town did try to put in the speed bumps, which maybe they could be a little higher, but.
Working on it.
And they got the stop signs up. So I think that's a lot of good things that happened. The traffic study, I read that, that really didn't have anything to do with Amicus, so that really didn't help on that problem. I think the no rate turn it's probably about the best thing that we can do if we're going to have this here. As far as no entry from that side. I think it's kind of tough if you're going to come in from that side and you got to come in and just keep making a tight turn to get into the drive-through. That's probably going to be a mess. So I don't think many people are going to do it. But I do think this addressed the rush hour traffic where people were going to get backed up and try to cut through. This should address some of that. So I think it's about as good as we can get.
I will say they've worked with us better than what McDonald's did.
And yeah.
All right.
So this is for the concept plan, right?
Concept, yes.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that when we get to the preliminary plan that we have more details of the buffer that's going to be there and the lighting study. And I know that's part of it, but a lot of times with the buffer plan, they just show you on they draw some circles on a page and say it's going to be a tree. So I wouldn't mind seeing like a better view to see exactly, what that's going to look like and how that's going to protect the neighbor.
Yeah, of course. And I know we do have a landscape plan in the works at the moment, gearing up for the next step for the site plan. And so we are fully intending on complying with all planning unit requirements. And so we will be providing and the client has agreed to go above and beyond for what will be able to fit within that 20-foot buffer as well. So he desires to be a good neighbor, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was one thing said about the hours of operation. Did we ever,
24.
Said 24, one?
Yes.
Is it, you still
Yeah.
plan on 24 hours?
Yeah, so that's where they start, and then if there's pushback, there's pushback. Right now, I did speak with the client on that as well, and he did say that right now, they are reducing the hours from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m., which I know is still not necessarily what the community will want to hear. They are going to close the dining room at midnight. So the only option would be to go into the vestibule essentially for like a Grubhub pickup or drive-through. So, and that's till 4 a.m. So, there won't be any loitering. So the Taco Bell studies that they've done with their locations is, because I know the safety was some of the community's concerns about, attracting the wrong crowds at a certain hour at night, in the morning. And so they find that by closing the dining room, it really cuts all of that out because there's really no place for anyone to kind of hang out.
And deliveries are going to be on the off hours, kind of?
I'm sorry?
Deliveries.
Deliveries. Those will be off hours. I don't have the exact hours, but it won't be during the operational, like during the day, essentially.
Okay. Comments?
Sorry, I was going to say that my sign is backwards down here, but I see on that screen it's right.
That was an issue. I believe it was Andrew who caught that actually on the prints, but the prints had already been made, so it was flipped the wrong way. Apologies on that, but we fixed it.
Any comments from the floor?
Can I say something?
Please come to the mic, state your name and your address.
Eddie Andrews, I live on Stumptown Road. You were saying about making them speed bumps higher. Below my house, they go through that speed bump 70 mile an hour. So you could make them that tall and they're still gonna hit them 70 mile an hour. That don't do shit.
Any other comments?
My name is Cassie Lewis, and I reside in Creekside. And first, I'd like to start by saying we really appreciate your prompt response to our concerns that were raised at an earlier meeting when you actually came out and looked at the site. We're very grateful that you took that time and showed that kind of concern. And then we also would like to thank the mayor and Jim, the city manager. They've been extremely helpful with us. A number of us came in and met, talked with them, and what they did was help us understand the process and help us understand the limits that you have to your authority. And we recognize the position that you as the planning commissioner in between a developer and between the community. It's a challenging position. But we are grateful for your concern and your willingness to listen. It's important to state here that we're not really opposing Taco Bell. I mean, we all like Taco Bell. The kids in the community all like Taco Bell. But what we are concerned about is the impact to the quality of life that we think Taco Bell and the second eatery will have upon where we live. It's specifically, I think the main point of concern is the point where Break Iron, Amicus intersect with the ingress and egress of Taco Bell. I understand the improvements. The improvements are good. They do improve the situation, but I guess I'm wondering, could we go a little further in addressing some of the community's concerns? When we think about the traffic coming in and out, it's not an ideal situation, and like you said earlier, this may be the best that can be done because it is such a challenging situation here with the traffic coming onto Amicus. We understand that there are planned roads in the future across the Hoffman property, but those improvements to relieve the congestion in Creekside are many, many years away. And we're really concerned with life right now and in the next 20 years. Increased traffic also coming from, the large residential area behind Creekside off of Sumtown Road. It's approachable through Keenan Street. That's a very, very large residential development. And I think it's safe to assume that many of those residents enjoying a Taco Bell would be leaving that development onto Sumtown, making a right onto Amicus and coming up to Taco Bell. I'm not so sure that was included in the traffic study, taking a look at nearby residential and increased traffic that would be coming from those developments. Was that part of the traffic study?
No.
It's something to give some thought to in terms of how we might resolve the differences here. Also, the planned residential development, which is sizable on the Hoffman Farm, is going to create additional traffic. In Creekside, there's an access road off of Water Run Street directly onto the Hoffman property. So the development at the Hoffman property will also generate quite a lot of residential traffic, leaving the Hoffman property onto Water Run, drive around in Creekside, go up Amicus to get to Taco Bell. I think that's something that's been overlooked too in thinking toward the future and the impact that will have on the road, the ring road around Amicus. And also, I haven't heard a lot of discussion about sidewalks and pedestrian safety and what it does to the walkability. Right now, we can walk to CVS, we can walk to Kenny's, and wherever we want to go. With the ingress and egress off of Amicus, what happens is if pedestrians, and we've got lots of kids on bikes, we have a number of houses in the community with physically disabled people who will be in wheelchairs. And we also have the Amish community that comes and goes with their horse and buggies. So here's the problem there. If you're going to walk, you leave Creekside, and you're going to walk up to, let's say, CVS or the Food Lion, there is a sidewalk on the water tower side, which would be really the safe side to walk on. It ends at the water tower, and there isn't any sidewalk along Brake Iron from the water tower down into the Food Lion lot. On the Taco Bell side of Amicus, there is a sidewalk that goes all the way around and will take you down to Food Lion and CVS. However, what we're a little worried about is the cut through, the driveway of cars going in and out of Amicus. Pedestrians are going to have to walk across that driveway with a lot of traffic coming and going. So if that's another thing we'd like to pursue. Is there something that could be done to make this project safer to pedestrians and kids on bikes? Moving to noise generated by vehicles, there's some concern about, I guess the best term would be peeling out, where a car is stopped and then it zooms out, leaves marks on the street. We are concerned about stuff like that. It's difficult to control, we do realize that, but it's just another factor to consider when you're thinking about the quality of life upon those of us who live in Creekside. The noise generated by trash removal, due to the air brakes, the banging of dumpsters, when you get dumpsters have to be emptied, they're picked up, they're turned upside down, and often they're banged, so it releases all the trash. We're very concerned about particularly the properties that are adjacent to the rear of the eateries where the trash, I'm assuming would be, is that correct, would be stored in the back of the property, up against the houses.
Not quite,
It's-
inside.
Yeah, it's about, I'd say 50, 55, 56 feet from the property line, so it's a
Yeah.
good distance.
It's a distance, but I don't know that that distance is enough to mitigate the noise that would be coming from the banging of the trash. And also deliveries that are coming in. Deliveries are taken into the building on a ramp with rollers and going up and down and taking things in, taking things out is another, I think, element of noise that I hope we can be conscious of and somehow address, either by timing, when that's done, or I don't know what the other options would be. And the noise aside, I think what we'd like to also think about here is the luminous flux of the nighttime lighting, particularly for the homes, that are adjacent to the property, because that lighting will be high. Yeah, it will be generated, pointed downward, but there will still be ambient light that spreads out, particularly if the place is open for 24 hours, and we're worried about that. And then the last item I wanted to bring up is, the screening. And you did mention they're going to take a hard look at the screening because, there are certain, if it's evergreens, we'd like the developer to take a hard look at what evergreens are durable in this environment, and the life of a evergreen, who replaces the evergreens if they die. So that's the end of my comments. It's our hope. Let me emphasize again, we are not opposed to Taco Bell and the eatery. We like the idea that they're there. It does, their presence enhances the quality of life. It provides a lot of jobs for young people. But it's my hope that Creekside, the developer, and Taco Bell can sit at the table together and maybe further explore these concerns that we're raising here tonight to see if there is a way to do it a little better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll try living across from a school. Gary?
I have a question, Jim. Why didn't the town continue the sidewalk down past the water tower?
Around that corner.
slope issues primarily, and also Break Iron Street. We've talked about this before. Break Iron was supposed to be a private street originally when the Food Lion, CVS, and Chevrolet dealership were developed. Because the Creekside community couldn't get, the developer for Creekside couldn't get access to Route 140 as was the original plan, the city worked with CVS and Food Lion and Lance Chevrolet to make those streets public so that we would have a public street leading into Creekside. But by the time that all happened, road widths were established. There's a pretty steep slope on the city property where the water tank is, and Creekside didn't own, let's see, I'm trying to think where we ended up. I don't remember exactly where the boundary is on the Baltimore Street side, but that sidewalk that we've talked about previously that goes out from Amicus out to Route 140, the Creekside developer was required to put that in
He put it
along
the
with
wrong
the
place, I
sidewalk,
believe, yes.
along with the sidewalk in front of those two properties to connect to what was then existing down by CVS. So it was, I guess, technically, infeasible to put the sidewalk on the slope by the water tank and continue it around that way. I suppose it could have been, but it would have required moving some of the city infrastructure and some of the cell infrastructure and building a retaining wall and a lot of things like that. So just with that slope there, it was just...
Seeing how we are pushing more walkable Taneytown, don't you think that'd be something we should address again or look into it? Get a number associated with that? I mean, it's certainly going to be a safety issue.
I don't want to commit to anything as far as putting a sidewalk in that water tower property. Just again, I don't, with the slope there, we can certainly have that discussion during the preliminary plan stage. But I think there's some utility stuff that's pretty close to the curb there.
Okay.
But yeah, we can certainly look at it. I just don't know what would be involved in building it.
Anyone else? Ma'am?
Good evening. My name's Karen Cessna. I live on Amicus Street, 21 Amicus. Well, I have a question. This drawing is interesting, but I'm not skilled in this, knowing this thing. My question is, does all of the traffic from Taco Bell exit on this Amicus Street thing?
No, they can, after they get through, they can come back out on East Baltimore Street.
Okay. Well, the business that was there previously had all this frontage on 140, and all of their customers came into that business and out of that business. They came in on 140, they exited on 140. So my suggestion is Taco Bell enters on 140 and exits on 140. I don't see how you're going to prohibit anybody who comes out of there with a sign that says no right turn if they live back off of Keenan or in those developments, I don't know the names of them, off of Roberts Mill and Keenan and up there. I mean, so are we going to have a traffic guard there so nobody makes a right-hand turn? That doesn't seem even reasonable to me. If it's, now your suggestion about how the street is going into Birches, the street's designed so you can only go in one direction. So if the street exit is designed so you can only turn left, of course left turns aren't the safest things in the world either, but never mind. And also, that said, my suggestion, all the traffic in and out on 140, if you have a sidewalk access, sometimes people from Creekside, they walk around to CVS. Yes, there's that sidewalk that's on Wilson that goes out to 140 from Amicus. Have you ever thought about crossing 140 in the middle of the street there? There's not even a crosswalk there, those white lines that go across the street. So it's wonderful to have this sidewalk. And I've thought of it occasionally, you know, like we could just walk to McDonald's because it's a, 3-minute walk from my house. But I don't want to get killed crossing 140. So basically, I get in my car, I drive down Amicus and on around to 140, and I do my thing at McDonald's or the shopping center, and I get in my car and I drive back. So I think it's great to have access for pedestrians too. I think that's another story. But my bottom line is traffic in, traffic out on 140.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you need that on paper? You said some of the book.
I'm fine, thank you.
Don't need paper. No more paper.
Any other comments? Not? I'm looking for,
Nope, we got one more.
we got one more?
I'm Becky Mendenhall. I'm also a resident on Amicus Street. Been at the last 2 meetings. So I appreciate the thought that is being put into this. I share all of the concerns that were brought up by Ms. Lewis, in particular about the traffic both coming in and out, because we get a good bit of traffic coming from the rear, not just the front of the residential community, not only on Keenan Street, but then that connects behind to Meads Crossing. It's a lot of residential, a lot of homes back in that area. I can imagine a lot of traffic coming in and out both ways. So it still is very concerning. I'm also very concerned about the hours. I don't think that 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. is much of an improvement, if any, over 24 hours a day. It's for any sort of business that is directly abutting a residential neighborhood. So that is a concern I think that needs to be addressed. And then I do look forward to further conversations if and when we get to the preliminary stage about the buffering. But just wanted to come up again and say, there are many of us who do share these concerns. I appreciate Ms. Lewis presenting them in such a thoughtful way. And thank you for your consideration of all the concerns that we're sharing as well.
Thank you very much for input. Anyone else?
I live here on Stumptown. Why can't you, instead of, I know them speed bumps y'all put in there, why don't you put cameras there? Start giving them tickets. They'll slow down.
All right, not to be redundant on the same issue, but if you have a different point.
Yeah, just slightly different. Chris Tillman, 10 York Street. I appreciate what they're trying to accomplish with the change in the geometry, but doesn't quite go far enough to continue to allow the left turn movement from Amicus into the Taco Bell lot. Perpetuates the shortcut in that direction. Shortcuts operate both ways. So prohibiting the right turn out stops the shortcut going from 140 down Amicus to Stumptown, but it doesn't stop the shortcut coming in the other direction. So I think that it's a fallacy to assume that stopping it in the one direction would not stop it in the other. The other thing is that unless the geometry is severe enough to physically prevent the right turn out of the Taco Bell, you simply aren't going to stop it. People who are going to make that right turn aren't going to pay any attention to the signs. Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll be the bad guy again. Motion to approve the concept site plan.
Second to that? Second by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor of concept site plan approval for 529 East Palmer Street, Taco Bell, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Can you look into all those issues that you just heard here tonight?
Yes, definitely. Just one quick question on process, because we are not doing a subdivision, and technically the code says that we, at the planning commission's discretion, we can skip from concept straight to final, with the understanding that we are able to provide the landscape plan, the lighting plan.
Hit it when you said, it's our discretion.
Yes. So
If
it
you-
was,
if you-
I
if you-
think with the amount
excuse
of-
me,
oh, sorry.
If you have all the paperwork completed and we get all the documents back from the agents, it's a possibility. But there again, it's our discretion at that time.
okay, I thought I would ask if it would make a difference in the package that we're preparing for the submission.
We hope the preliminary packet would be the same as the final.
Okay, understood.
If it is, then it's not an issue.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Harry, didn't mean to cut you short.
I'm not the chairman.
Ordinance and agreement for review. Amendment to restricted industrial. Talked about that. Do you want to lead us on that again?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This ordinance was originally brought to the mayor and council on October 27th. They voted to recommend that, this was originally proposed to the mayor and city council. Now it's coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission for your review and recommendation. The reason this is brought in before you today is to allow companies in the restricted industrial district to be able to have some type of commercial uses on site. So, for instance, if a larger company wanted to have, to have businesses that their employees could go and visit during and after work hours, an amenity. When this was put together, under subsection, the use permitted under subsection 20522B14, it was added the following combined retail and service uses not to exceed 25% of the total lot area. This would also, 25% of the total lot area also includes on those uses that would be a special exception conditional use. These uses were added, uses that may be the most beneficial to companies in the restricted industrial district. And then with mentioning the special exception uses under C, those as well with city staff thought would be the most beneficial for those larger businesses, industrial businesses in the restricted industrial districts. So that's why it's limited to 20, well, I should say the reason it's limited to 25% is so you don't have theoretically let's say 100-acre property, and if you had 100%, well, the city wants industrial land, so you don't want commercial uses to really take up a lot of that area. So keeping it at 25%, so the predominant use there would still be the restricted or an industrial use. And also just to point out, for setbacks, permitted uses in 20522B14 shall have a 25-foot rear and side yard setback, and those special exception uses under 20522C4 shall require a 50-foot rear and side yard setback. And then also there is an amendment to the 20584, which is daycare centers in the city code, and that is basically to add restricted industrial zone with the shall be permitted and to remove downtown business district. That is all I have, Mr. Chair. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Under the, I guess it's B, permitted use. Never list everything, so shouldn't you have a spot in there saying, or other related permit uses or something like that to be able to add something if something would come up that's not listed that would fit into that area?
So you mean of the same general character?
Yes. Something in that language would,
I mean, we could, that's totally up to you all if you would like to see that added.
I think we have that elsewhere, don't we?
Yeah, but not in this.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We use
I
other
think
similar uses in some other districts.
I can't remember
uses.
the exact verbiage
I can't
there,
either, and I
but,
couldn't find it.
It might have been all uses incidentally customary to the uses permitted,
Yeah, something like it.
right?
that works.
Okay.
You just
Well,
want our
but-
comments for this,
Yeah.
right?
But my question, though, is, do we want to give that big of a loophole? Because that's the stuff that's an automatic. Do we want to give that big of a loophole, or if somebody comes up with something creative, do we want them coming in front of us so that we know what's going on?
You have the option. You would have the option.
It
if
would
it's
still
under-
come in front of us, wouldn't it?
Pardon me?
Would it still come in front of us?
Yes. So you still have the option. Don't have to allow it.
Well,
It's allowed,
I-
it can come in front of us,
right.
would it?
Well, not. If it's allowed, it wouldn't be an issue.
well,
But the line that you want to put in allows
Allows anything
a lot
to
of
do.
things.
Everything.
It does. That's what I mean. Shouldn't we have something open there for future?
Yeah, because then we try to slide something in under.
I was gonna say,
you
like
won't
Harry,
see.
But you say
like
it's-
Harry said, if we put that in there, doesn't that open it up to,
Yes.
If it does, then let's don't put it in.
I'm just saying,
You just can't trust them.
But you can't put everything.
No, you can't.
You can't list everything.
I'm just going to go ahead and say McDonald's.
so,
There you go.
but if somebody sees this list, but has something else there in their idea, when they come in front of us or come in front of Board of Appeals?
Right.
So at that point, we would vote on it or
Yeah, but then you can't
discuss it.
vote on it because it's not listed there. So you have to say, if it's like these other things and the board agrees, then it's okay.
Well, it wouldn't come through you. They can't get a use variance. It would come through, if they wanted to add a use, it would have to come through you and then the mayor and council for a text amendment to change the zoning code. Now, right now, the only thing that would go through the Board of Zoning Appeals is a special exception that they would vote on looking at the general character of the neighborhood. Does this use fit on this piece of property? And that's those uses that are mentioned under C4, daycare centers, hotel, motels, bed and breakfast inns, and schools, and have an example of the different schools. But if you put, like you mentioned, customarily incidental, then that would fall back to city staff and looking at it through the zoning administrator's eyes of, is this customarily incidental? So that would not come to you for review. Now, the only time it would be is if somebody wanted to add a use to that, and then it would come to you for recommendation to the mayor and city council.
But that's not a fast process, right?
Jim had a comment.
Well, I think what some commission members may be thinking of is in the downtown business district, we break out retail businesses into a bunch of different categories, and we list, a bunch of, I'll say the first section is home furnishings and accessories, and then it talks about furniture, home accessories, drapes and curtains, kitchen stores, goes on like that, and then the last thing is other similar uses. So there's always some interpretation because we can't possibly list every conceivable business that could
That's
come
what I
in.
was trying, that was my
So
point.
it's really up to the zoning administrator to determine if the characteristics of a business that's not specifically listed is similar enough to what's on the list. So generally speaking, when we list things, it's by way of example, but it's not supposed to be, thank you, all-encompassing, perfect. So, but again, we could add other similar business, I suppose, as we do in other districts.
My other thing was, under 4, I didn't understand when you say bed and breakfast end. I think of George's on York Street as a residential unit that was converted over to bed and breakfast. So would we do this on
Under 4?
under 4, when it says hotels, motels, and bed and breakfast ends?
I think that's just kind of covering all the bases of places that people can stay on their property. If they want to build a couple of cabins or something and call it a bed and breakfast or something like that, I mean, then that falls under that.
That's what you're going to put in restricted industrial area?
That needs to get special exception. That's why it's in the special exception section.
And that's thought of as, what if a company that was industrial, had people come and visit Taneytown? Oh, look, there could be a business there that could lodge people right on site.
The bed and breakfast. That's all I had. So all you're asking for is comments from us, right?
I just had one question on, the front yard shall be a minimum of 50 feet. Did it used to be 40?
Or it wouldn't be the front yard, it would, I think, you're looking at the.
D3?
Three. That's not changing. Yep, that's on line 103, that's staying the same, that's current law.
Okay. Hey, I thought, so how often does the online version get updated? Because that's what I was looking at online, and I thought it said, maybe I was making a mistake there, but,
I don't remember any 40 feet.
okay, I'll look it up.
Then again, I went by the manual, the book, not online, so.
And Jim, please correct me if I'm.
50 feet's what's in the hard copy binder that's here that I don't think has been updated terribly recently.
And correct me if I'm wrong, though, but from my past experiences of another municipality is that the code is codified a couple times a year, and if anybody would like to see what new laws are put in place, there's a special section, I don't want to say special exception, special section in the code, or the online code website, that you can see what was codified in the code recently.
Okay, yep. So my only other question was, how fast does the online version get updated?
And that may be a couple times a year, several times a year. I'm not 100% sure when E-code updates.
We've been trying to get things sent to general code quickly upon passage. I can't speak to the turnaround time as to how quickly it gets updated online, though.
Good?
My only other question is, when can we all have hard copies so that we have the latest and greatest?
I could print the commission out.
Well, I mean, I would want like the whole book.
No, right, just really like the zoning section and all chapters that pertain. That's what I did when I worked for the city of Westminster. We gave a binder out and gave the planning commission the applicable sections of code that would apply to their jurisdiction and would pertain to them.
It does say 50 feet. I misread.
I had a code book. Do you have anybody else? Actually, we had to turn them back in. We were supposed to turn them back in, weren't we?
We moved away from the hard copy code.
And that's why nobody else has them anymore, because nobody turned them back in.
And we also found that when board, commission, and council members that had the hard copy codes did move on and turn them back in, we found that they had not been kept current. Right. And we ended up basically having to just get rid of them rather than try to go through page by page and figure out what was not updated. And so we moved to primarily it all being electronic, because that way the updates, they are made fairly quickly. I can't speak to like how, if general code takes 2 weeks to turn it around and update it, I can find that out if they have a
I'd be happy with 2 weeks.
a time standard, but
So I was just curious, yeah.
but
I prefer electronic as opposed to the book.
years ago we waited and we kind of bundled code changes and sent them, maybe quarterly, because there is a cost associated with updating it. But knowing that more and more people are using that resource online, we've been trying to turn things into general code, right after they're passed, and we have the signed copies of the ordinances to provide to general code, who's our publisher.
And if I may add to what Jim mentioned, with literally updating the code, it's a little bit of an art form. You have to take the book apart, remove the pages, make sure the pages don't get out of order. Specifically, take the ones out, then add them, and then when you have the online version is all you have known, you go into search, type in a word, it pops up for you, and then even if you want to refine it on the page, Control F on your computer, and you can find any word in that code pretty darn quickly.
All right, I guess we're good on that one.
Is there a consensus to add the other similar businesses at the end of the section?
Like to see it.
I'm good. I'm good.
Majority of us is good.
Okay, we'll
Excuse me?
Chris Tillman, I just have a quick question, because something that I heard, and I wasn't sure that it fully registered, and I want to make sure I was hearing it correctly. Did I hear you say that daycare centers would now be an allowed use in the downtown business district?
No, not downtown business district.
In the restricted...
Restricted
okay.
industrial.
I just want to make sure what I heard, because it didn't quite sound right. And just a quick comment on your question about the bed and breakfast inns. Again, as long as it's a special exception, we have no issue with that. What I would encourage the commission to look into is the Airbnb and the use. I know that there are several Airbnbs in town, and I don't know, and I know where some of them are, and they certainly wouldn't be compliant with the zoning in their locations. And so I encourage the commission and the zoning administrator to look into that, please.
All right, we're good now this time?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, sorry, if I may, so I apologize. So with adding other similar businesses at the end, would that that's just for uses permitted, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you have no other comments besides that for the mayor and council?
No.
Nope.
No,
Okay.
I'm all good.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to fences and walls. Kind of being almost going into like signs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My experiences with the two local governments that I've worked at before, we have not issued fence permits. With this change to the ordinance, if there is a city easement, the property owner would still have to file information for being able to erect a fence in a city easement. And then also, fences can remain until such time they become unsafe or beyond repair in the opinion of the zoning administrator. So really, this gets rid of the fence permit, streamlines the process a little bit more for people, brings it up to date, at least with the county and Westminster, and also removes information about, if property ownership changes. But really, it's to get rid of the fence permit, and that is all I have.
That was my first question on here. Where does it say I need to get a permit? So I don't need to get a permit to put a fence up anymore?
Correct. Now, if you have a easement, you would have to have a notice of, what are we calling it?
If you don't cross the easement, you don't need.
That's only for an easement though, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
For a typical residential house, once you put a fence up, they need to get a permit.
No, they don't.
No.
Not anymore.
Not if this is approved.
If they want to put the fence in an area with an easement, they need to get permission to use the easement area, but otherwise, they don't need an actual permit for the fence.
Now we're gonna have them right all the way up to the curb, all the way up against the sidewalk or the street without a drawing coming before you for a permit?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do they know?
How they-
they don't-
How do they know this information?
Right, that was my only question. How do they know it's 4 foot's the limit? How do they know they got to stay away from?
Right, and from what we and Jim, jump in if I'm amiss here, but from what we're proposing to do is that the information, that notice that for the easement, we will post the information that'll be in the code right on that document. So actually, for a lot of people, it'll be more clear now of what the city requirements are than what they currently are. I mean, granted, yes, they have to get a permit, and it wouldn't be approved by the zoning administrator if they didn't meet the requirements. But now in that document that they sign, they verify that that fence meets the requirements.
But that's only if you're crossing an easement.
Right. But also with the code, they still have to follow, the code still has to be followed. Now, if somehow they put a fence up that's would not comply with the code, the city could still say, wait a minute, this doesn't comply, and they would have to alter the fence to make it comply.
I think you've lost us.
Yeah, but that's after the fact. So let's go through the process here. So a person comes in here, buys a house with no fence. They don't have to call the city or the zoning administrator to make sure what the guidelines are? I'm asking.
Right.
I'm looking at the logic, because what you just said, if they put the fence up over the weekend, whatever, and it's up against the sidewalk, they don't know the guidelines, so then we're gonna go back out, you're gonna tell them, or the city's gonna tell them, well, you're gonna have to have it back at a certain setback. Wouldn't it be more beneficial to still have someone be contacting the city before that happens? I'm telling that.
I'm concerned about that. I understand reducing the administrative requirements.
No, I
but-
get that. I totally get it, but there's still, you know what's gonna happen.
Sure, yeah, I'm gonna put a 10-foot high fence in my backyard. It's not gonna cross any easement, and then, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
would,
gonna.
I would think if they would call into the city and say, look, and I'm thinking of putting a fence up, we should have a printed page. Here's the guidelines. And as long as they go by that, I'm okay with that, because then we'll have something to fall back on as a city.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I mean, this could be extrapolated out to a lot of things.
Yeah.
I want to build a garage. I didn't know I needed a permit. I just put it up with my buddies over the weekend. Or I wanted to put in a 20 by 20 shed. I know that's a touchy subject for a lot of people in town.
As we all agree that the easement part, I agree, that's not a problem. It's the other process of, as everybody wants a privacy fence or a 4-foot fence or whatever, there still should be some paperwork or something that they have to contact the city.
Should be a permit required to put a fence
Something,
up.
just something, because we're gonna have a problem. I
What
see it.
about with the homeowners association, all that
Why,
stuff?
why are we not holding the people accountable for knowing the rules? I was gonna say, if they put up, if they don't do their due diligence and at least call and ask what the rules are, I'm sorry, they've set themselves up. Are they gonna be responsible?
Happens all the time.
I get that. Are they gonna be responsible, or are they gonna, or do we trust our people to be responsible, or do we not trust our people to be responsible?
That's all I want to say.
So, yeah, my opinion is that it's just gonna be, if the town has to go back and say, you need to tear that fence out because it doesn't meet requirements, it's gonna be worse than having the permit up front.
Yeah.
Mayor?
So just to speak on it briefly, Chris Miller, 107 Trevanian Road. No matter whether we have the permit or not, if they don't read the code to know that they have a permit and they put up a fence, they're just going to put up a fence. So the permit's actually irrelevant in regards to this, because again, if they're not looking to see what the requirements are to begin with, they're not going to know the requirement to get a permit. So in theory, they're going to put up a fence regardless of whether they've looked at it or not. This essentially takes away the staff time of approving fences that we don't even have the mechanisms to fully even look at. For instance, sightline distance and stuff like that. We charge $10 for a permit currently. So the other option for the city is to raise those permit fees. A lot of municipalities don't do permits for fences specifically because of all that entails for those permits, and it's us signing off that fence is safe, properly constructed, etc., or at least meets our code. Again, it's less of a liability on the city's end It's less convoluted for the residents. And again, it goes back to what our code originally is kind of a complaint-driven basis. If someone notices someone putting up a 20-foot fence, I'm going to tell you they're probably going to be in my inbox saying there's a 20-foot fence going up. And again, that's kind of how we do code enforcement here, is a complaint-driven basis. So this, I think, is more in line with that vision. And again, really when it comes down to it is if they're not looking at the rules, they're not going to really need a permit to begin with. If they call the city asking what we need for a fence, they could tell them you don't need a permit, but there's a set of rules in the code that you still got to do. And again, if we tell them that, they have been made aware that there's a code that they need to follow.
And that's all I'm looking for. That's my belief.
Yeah,
The permit is a piece of paper, $10.
Yeah.
It's the guidelines that everybody's has that in front of them.
And that's what I'm going to tell you, when they contact the city, even if something like this happens, for instance, if we pass this, nobody's going to say, it's free reign, just put up whatever you want. We are still going to direct them to the code that says how you can put this fence up and everything like that. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of the construction companies that put up these fences, they're normally some of the first ones to kind of look into it. Because they'll be also liable if they put up a fence that doesn't meet the code requirements. But again, I will say the people who are already not looking at it to know they need a permit are also going to be the ones not looking at it when they put up the fence to begin with. Appreciate it, y'all.
Anybody have anything else? I got one more. On E, all fences, walls must have a minimum clearance. What is the minimum clearance? Is that spelled out somewhere?
I think not that I know of, I think for minimal clearance for stormwater management, there would have to be some reasonable distance. It couldn't be like, for instance, right down next to the ground. There would have to be some type of way so water would not be restricted off of one property onto another. And I think that would, it would be a reasonable distance from the ground.
I bet you ours vary too. What you think is reasonable is not what
Well,
I think.
exactly. Right. But I'm not a stormwater engineer.
Someone's going to make that decision, right?
Right.
All right. And isn't F and H the same thing?
I actually had that question as well. Basically, it's two different things with this. It's two of the same thing with different heights. There's a 6-foot version and a 10-foot version.
You said F and
H.
F and H.
No, it's B and
F
C.
is being, okay.
B and C at the top of left.
Only difference is one's 10 feet, one's 6 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, B and C.
Well,
Right.
B is residential.
Okay.
Right. Yes, B is residential and C is
Oh,
commercial.
okay, so 10 is
Okay.
commercial.
Mhm.
Okay.
F and H, F and H, that's okay.
What are you talking about?
In here. F and H.
Those aren't the same.
Not really the same.
Okay. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Any comments? We're good.
I think I'm good. Yep.
All right. Andrew, you want to go ahead and give your zoning report?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Let me just pull it up here. All right. So for this month's report,
The meeting has apparently gone on too long. The tree has shut off.
oh,
Good night, everybody.
one of besides looking at and working with the people that were before you today on their site plan, we're also reviewing site plan for another business that may be coming before you next month. Also, for plan amendments, the Taneytown Shopping Center amended landscape plan, which I mentioned last month, provided comments, and they are having their designer finalize the plans for new plantings. That's the one, Mr. Chair, we spoke about up by Kenny's Market. Text amendments, we were putting together the text amendments for fencing. That was before you today. Comprehensive plan, reviewed the draft plan, provided comments that I sent to all of you last Thursday. And if you do not have any questions or comments for those, for my comments, I will send that to the consultant tomorrow. Also, zoning code violations.
We're good. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Zoning code violations, we've been sending out letters and looking to see if compliance has been obtained on several different properties. Also, and I don't want to step on any toes from the county, but the spring 2025 water and sewer amendment was approved by Maryland Department in the Environment. That included 3300 Harney Road and updating to the table 32 for a calculation error and total demand. Actually, that came to you when I was working for the county and sat right there and presented to you. So that was approved by Maryland Department of the Environment. Also, a draft of the water resources element was sent from the county to the state on November 12th for their review. And I have, just to conclude with, a letter from the county that I will provide to you, and there is a website as well. So let me, sorry, I got a ton of papers here. There we go. This is the information from the county for the water resources element.
This isn't anything we need to act on, right?
No, sir. Not right now. If you would like to provide, actually, there will be a joint planning commission hearing, I believe the beginning of next year, where all the planning commissions, all 9 of them from the county, will come together and hear public comment. And I don't know, not to put you on the spot, Tiffany, but are you going to mention something about that during your county planning update? Okay, so I will.
Now. Did I hear something there?
Yes.
But that will be forthcoming. So there still needs to be more information from what I saw. Don't know if anything has changed, but information is still coming together of how that meeting will look, if there'll be a virtual option for those that work as well. So that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Move on into the active projects and construction and all those. Any comments on any of them?
The only active project that we did not talk about today that we've been working on was just providing more information for a VAPCO parking lot for them to come back to you all for their preliminary review and preliminary approval.
Ready. Tiffany? It's
I'm
your
gonna try this seat today. Long one. Good evening, and thank you for having me here this evening. We do have a lot of updates, and it's not because I haven't been here, but we've had a lot going on in the last couple months. We'll start with the deferrals, actually. So Commissioner Krebs has some concerns about the developments that are going into the Freedom area. So there is a public hearing that is being scheduled to have a deferral on all processing or reviewing of any developments in the currently in the pipeline or coming in the future for retirement villages and retirement homes. That's a 6-month deferral. Clustered subdivisions, again, a 6-month deferral. Planned commercial centers, an 8-month deferral, and self-storage, a 3-month deferral. And again, these are only in the Freedom District in the southeast corner of the county.
Excuse me, what's the reason for why are they deferring all these?
At hand, it's that the thought is, by Commissioner Krebs that has brought these concerns to the table, that the county code does not address the welfare of the citizens in the Freedom area with respect to provisions governing retirement villages and the ones that I mentioned. There have been a couple discussions on it, and they are online at the November 6th meeting. They were initially brought to the attention of the commissioners, or the idea of their deferrals, and then on the November 13th meeting, the board did vote 3-2 to go to public hearing with those as well. So it's not currently in deferral yet. None of those are, but they are going to public hearing soon.
All the ones that you defer from down there is going to force them up to this end of the county. Yes?
I can't say that yes or no to that, the effects of it.
Comes our issues in.
Yeah, Jim, the big thing is the fact that most of that area is Eldersburg, which is not an incorporated area, so they don't have, their only recourse is county at that point. Sykesville is very small compared to the greater area down there.
County is larger than Taneytown.
Oh yeah, oh yes. I was gonna say, but we're still our own board. We can say, no, we don't have the resources for that. Thanks, bye.
We say no? Good, okay.
Oh, we haven't gotten to housing
I'm
approvals
sorry,
with me yet.
Oh, that's absolutely
Kind of bugs me a little bit.
No, that's absolutely fine. Please.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Does anyone else have any further questions on the deferrals? Being proposed, I should say, or going to public hearing. There are some updates to the transit, that one actually, which one transit? Transit, to the Trailblazer routes, to the purple and black routes. However, those are in place as two stops have been consolidated and another one has been eliminated. However, it's posted on the buses and you can request those stops at no charge. So hopefully that will go over smoothly. If you'd like to get planning updates, please sign up at Carroll Connect. Also, there are other things that you can sign up for, but information and updates on anything planning related, master plan related, you can sign up and get updates there. And then for text amendments, we have a couple that have come through in the last month. There is the solar has been approved to have, and I think the city is already aware of this too, changes reflect the state requirements for solar, so our code now has that. Energy storage devices with the front meter and solar energy generating systems up to 5 megawatts or less are now permitted uses in all districts. And then the solar energy generating systems greater than 5 megawatts are now permitted uses in Ag, I-1, and I-2. And we do have a solar project on the north side of 140, just literally touching the boundary outside Taneytown on the west side. So that's how that is happening. And it just came through TRC this month too. Okay. And we had no comments on that because now that it is in our code, it's consistent with our comp plan. And then we have there was another change to the county code, the amendment for use of off-the-premise signs. Right now, our code is looking at that, so billboards in general. There's a consolidation proposal that's come through where if you have 2 or more billboards, essentially, on one property or on adjacent properties owned by the same owner, that you would be able to consolidate the square footage into one larger billboard, possibly electronic or otherwise. So that's going to be coming probably to the Planning Commission in the middle of December for presentation and further discussion on that. And then the master plan updates. The master plan work groups for housing, economy, and ag were presented to the Planning Commission on November 5th. There have been several Board of County Commissioners work sessions that have come through in the last month on cluster developments, DRRAs, and age-restricted housing. Those are online if you'd want to see those work sessions being discussed. And then the water resource element that Andrew has already mentioned. So for that one, it's the our Department of Planning and Land Management will actually accept public comment on behalf of all 9 planning commissions concurrent to the state review period. And those dates, if you don't have them already, November 15th began the open review period, and you have copies of how you can view that. And then on January 14th, tentatively, there'll be a public information meeting, and then January 15th, a 60-day review period closes, and then February 4th, tentatively, the Planning Commission's public hearing is set for that. And more information can be found on our website as well for that. And I'm sure Andrew can forward links to all the stuff available online. And he already covered the water sewer, thank you, in much better detail, much more detail than I would have covered. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Yes.
Do you have someone down there appointed to reviewing the drawings that we see for ADA purposes?
Yes, permits.
They're
usually
missing
looks
a
at
lot of
that.
things. I mean, I just called something here on Taco Bell and called it to their attention a couple weeks, a couple months ago, and they changed it. But I'm seeing in all our developments, ADA non-compliant.
I don't usually see or typically see the permits, like what they have approved or not approved, but if the letter comes through, the city should see the letters, so I don't know if it's been approved or not.
Well, if it wasn't ADA compliant, I would assume the county wouldn't approve it, give
Well,
approval.
they have been for years since I've been on here, because I've been catching them. So I'm just curious what's going on. Okay.
Questions? All right, thank you very much. Under our old business, Taneytown Community Comp Plan 2025 update. Last meeting we had last week was a very good meeting. A lot of things was clarified. Comments on that?
I hope it all gets into the comprehensive plan. Since
That's what you asked about?
That's kind of been an issue, so I hope it all gets into the comprehensive plan.
And I'll send, as you mentioned, I'll send my comments tomorrow to the consultant that you all saw last week, were provided last week.
Are we set to get, I thought we had like a close to final, except that it was missing a bunch of stuff. So are we set to get a final that's actually a final at some point, or what are we looking at?
We're still missing quite a few chapters yet, right? Land use and,
From my recollection, land use is
Did we cover that?
included. Yes.
Yeah, we've hit
about our
all of
growth
them
area, our growth
individually.
area and all that stuff.
The growth area, municipal growth is in there. Now, we're having well, I guess I should say the letter that was sent out, I think the commission planned on January having people from the growth area come and discuss their comments and concerns about wanting to be in or not be in the growth area for the city.
Well, we kind of told people December 16th tonight, so maybe we need to try and publicize that as much as possible.
I think, certainly if people show up on the 16th, we certainly, need to hear
still
whatever
address it,
comments
right.
they may have.
Exactly.
But the next big, I guess, we're going to get another hard copy rewritten.
With the
Right here, right?
corrections, with the updates.
Yeah, with the updates, yeah.
That's my understanding.
Anything else on?
And we owe them something for the fire company.
All right. And then the amended part for tonight, discussion on outdoor sales and parking requirements.
And with this comment, just a project came in to the city, and just trying to get the planning commission's thoughts on when you look at when looking at a project, let's say, just to make up numbers, you have a building that's 50,000 square feet. Let's say there's, for, I'm trying to, let me go back into the code here and just get the proper. All right, so let's say if there's one space for each 200 foot of floor area, and the business is proposing an outdoor sales area, like let's say a Lowe's, where there's a large potential area in the parking lot or outside that has, you can go through and shop and well, you can walk through it and shop. Would that, trying to get your all opinion, gauge your opinion, would that area that's outside be part of the floor area or not?
Let's make this a little more realistic.
Yes,
Well, the hardware store.
How about
I mean,
Ace in Littlestown, for example? They
Right.
have
Ace in
their
Littlestown,
outdoor
right, or a
display
hardware store
area.
that has lumber stored outside.
Right.
Do we count that lumber as qualified space to justify parking?
That's the question. Yeah, exactly. So we've never really, aside from car dealerships, where, you know, I mean, technically, you know, a lot of square footage is, you know, sales floor, basically. And I wasn't employed here when either of those, you know, projects went through. When we've had, you know, a used car dealer come and go, that site sort of evolved into a number of things over the years. And, you know, nothing really went through a site plan process for it because all the uses were changing modestly from the previous one over time. But I think we really haven't encountered any project with a substantial outdoor display area. Certainly, you know, convenience stores tend to put stuff out front. I mean, even when the Sheetz store was downtown and when the ordinance said everything had to be done within a building in the downtown business district, they always had windshield washer fluid and things like that stacked up out front, propane, you know, cylinders and so on. But it was always, you know, a very modest area. You know, if we have somebody adding 10,000 square feet of display area outdoors, should that factored in? Should it have the same ratio, a different ratio of, you know, parking spots per square foot? We've just never really run into it, and our code doesn't specify.
Like we need some research into the other municipalities and stuff, see what they're doing. I mean, this kind of applies to a grocery store too. Flowers and everything else outside on the sidewalk, is that part of it? Ice machine.
And I think some of that stuff I would say is incidental to the use.
Right.
But when we start getting into a substantial amount of square footage,
Right, hardware store.
Well, because
you know,
if,
I think it's beyond, you know, displays that might be considered customary and incidental to the business.
Sure.
I would be interested in what, say, Westminster does with Lowe's and Depot, because those are outdoor areas that are, the main areas are not parking lot that they're taking up with stuff. That is a designated outdoor floor area. So I'd like to see what they say for that sort of thing. I think there's a difference between, say, an outdoor garden center that's designed to be a garden center versus here's our shed showroom that's taken up 20 spaces of our lot.
If I may, things may have changed since I was there, but if you contact the city, and I can talk to the Director Depot tomorrow, but my experience there is if you want to do that, you're going to have to come in and do a simplified site plan. And that would be a site plan that's submitted for review, not to county agencies, but it would have to demonstrate that parking would not be impacted.
Well, but how do you calculate parking spaces based off of that square footage? Is it the same calculation?
That's one of the things I have to clarify, but nobody right there except for, well, nobody in the planning department there would have been there for, those are Home Depot. I would just have to ask for what would the zoning administrator's interpretation be if that were to happen.
Yeah, I'd like to get an idea, because they already have those properties that have that sort of thing. Now, again, we're looking at kind of two different things here, where, and actually Lowe's and Home Depot exhibit both of them, where they have a dedicated garden space that's outdoor that I think should count as sales floor space, if it was up to me. But then you've got the temporary mulch tunnel that they set up on a chunk of their parking lot, which makes me question if there is some form of a temporary use of your parking lot that takes up space, and do you still have enough spaces without that? Like if you're planning to run the mulch trench, I know it's a seasonal thing, so they only run it in the spring into summer. But do we get that nitty gritty to the point where, okay, well, you've got all the parking spaces that you're supposed to have. Now you've taken out 30 spaces because you've built the mulch trench. Does that technically put them in violation, or because it's temporary, it doesn't, nobody cares?
Beneficial if you would look into that and start with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can call around to the municipalities.
Yeah, I just the places that have dealt with this.
Is this something that the council brought up while it's here?
No, this isn't council. This
No,
sounds like it's people that are starting the process.
This was brought up literally last week.
Okay.
Chris has something.
Chris Tillman, yes, a comment and idea. There are a couple of things about this. One where you have, like you say, at Lowe's, a lot of that, what's actually outside the building is merchandise space, and should that be counted as floor area? And probably should. But other areas of that in the outside is warehouse. Essentially where all the lumber is stored and the big pallets are racked out there, and that's more of a warehouse space. And so the question is, could you have a hybrid count of the parking? This amount of space is warehouse, this amount of space is store, and so some of that. The other question that I would have, and it doesn't apply here yet, but it may be coming at some point soon, is greenhouse. And a good example of that is Clearview Farms up the street here. They have a little, store area that's right there where they, do the checkout, and they have the Amish-made goodies and all that. And then they have a couple of tremendously large greenhouses, which are their growing area, but they're also sales areas where customers walk through. So I think that you need to look at that, and that may be even a separate case yet, warehouse, greenhouse, sales floor. So I'm just offering that out as a thought, just from my experience with that. So thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Actually, sorry, just to clarify my last comment, this is something we've been reviewing for a couple weeks, but to put it on the agenda, it came up this past week, just to get your thoughts, and thank you for providing those.
Anybody else have anything? If not, I'll open up to the floor. Anybody from the floor have any comments or anything for the commission? Our next meeting is, what, December
16th for the comp.
16th, yeah, for comp, and January 5th, if and maybe.
Yeah, January 5th if we need it
Right.
for planning.
That we'll wait to hear. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
Bill?
Second.
Second by Dan. Further discussion? All those in favor of motion adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
No, I'd like to stay here a little longer.